Thank you very much. I'm sorry to say I've had a busy week. I didn't have anything prepared to say today, but I'm going to wing it, and impromptu, we'll get something done. Today, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to give a brief resume on a trip I just completed to Japan this past month. It's a program that's sanctioned by the Japanese government, has to do with a freedom tour. And they invite prisoners of war of the Japanese to go to Japan, all expenses paid. Everything is first class. They invited me quite a few months ago, but I didn't want to make the trek to Japan. But I got a letter from the ambassador, Japanese ambassador in Washington, so I made the trip. They told me that I could bring a caregiver, but I told them I don't have a caregiver. So I said, I'll bring my son David, and that was a wise choice because of his communication way of doing things. He was a big hit. And on this trip, there were 7 of us veterans. There were about 3 from the 4th Marines. There was a gentleman from Palawan. We had 2 civilians, one from Wake, one from Guam, and yours truly. For some reason, they made me the leader of the group, and I didn't know why. But the leader of the group, as the leader of the group, every time we went to a different venue, I had to open the event with a speech. So it was quite a way to do, but it was an honor. And we visited many places because one of the places we visit was the Diet, which is the Japanese seat of government. And they were very gracious, but I found some of them were not pro-American. And they told me that we had destroyed their city, we used the atom bomb and all that. And I simply said, who started the war? And they had an answer for that. They said, we were forced into it. To a degree, that is true. But when they attacked Pearl Harbor, I told them, you destroyed a lot of World War I battleships, but you never got to touch our aircraft carriers, which caused you a lot of problems in the future battles in the seas in the South Pacific. And I said, Japan will never know why those carriers were not at Pearl Harbor. And they asked me, why weren't they? I says, I'm not going to tell you. But we also visited a college, Temple College, where we spoke to the students who spoke English, and they were very receptive to everything we had to say. And we visited the place that I really enjoyed, and that was the Embassy of the United States, because I got to meet the ambassador, none other than Carolyn Kennedy. And she was gracious enough to sit with me and talk to me about 15 minutes. And she wanted to know where I was taken prisoner. I told her about all of Corregidor and everything. And I told her that I had been on General MacArthur's staff. So she smiled and she said to me, see the corner over there? That's where the emperor came to meet MacArthur, so that because MacArthur had been assigned the rehabilitation of Japan. And I told her, I says, that had great significance because anybody who wanted to see the emperor had to go to the imperial palace and wait and finally see him. But MacArthur did this because it had a great meaning. He wanted them to know, he wanted the emperor to know that he was going to be the one who was going to direct the rehabilitation of Japan. Thankfully, the emperor was very cooperative, and Japan was built where they became a source of economic power throughout the world. And to this day, they still hold that standing. The thing that I told the ambassador was, I said, you know, people misjudge MacArthur because they always talk about abandoning us. I said, MacArthur never abandoned us. He got orders on twice before General Roosevelt himself called and told him they needed him in Australia to lead the offensive. He put down the phone and he said, my commander has called, gentlemen, I am leaving. And he left. But the thing is that MacArthur, in rebuilding the Japanese economy again, didn't want to lose the emperor because the hawks in Washington wanted to try him and they wanted to prosecute him and hang him. But MacArthur wouldn't have anything of that. So fortunately, the emperor did live and helped MacArthur restructure the whole economy. Another place that we visited, and which was very close to my heart, was they took me to Camp Omori. Now, Camp Omori has a great significance to me because between the British prisoners and the American prisoners in Shinagawa, we reclaimed the land so that the camp could be built. And that was a lot of hard labor. I still don't understand the mechanics. They draw the sand from the ocean. All we know, we had to move the soil and pack it, form a base so that we could build the barracks to bring additional prisoners of war that would help the labor force in the greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere. But all in all, the one place that I went was a temple where they told us, we have the names of all the prisoners that died in captivity. And I told my son David, look up Frank Dominguez. Lo and behold, he pulled out the card. I finally found out that he had died in January and what he died of and all that. So it set my mind at ease. And the thing about this trip was that everything we had to do had to be timed 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And when we finished, I told the people, I says, you have to take into consideration that we're all past 90. And it's a very rigid schedule. And some of them were even in wheelchairs. So I hope that they will remedy the situation. But to me, it's always a pleasure to speak to the group here and celebrate Armistice Day. Today, I just want to live and enjoy my freedom. I'm sorry to say that a lot of people take their freedom for granted, but if they ever lose their freedom, they will know how valuable it is. I know that because of my age, I will never be making another trip to Japan, nor do I want to, because being in the places where you went through, where you had all these horrible experiences, draws quite a bit of your energy away. I just want to be home and enjoy my freedom. Thank you for being a good audience.
I'd like to invite up one more a friend of ours from Post 397, Herman Medina. If you'd please come up real quick.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to reemphasize some of the words that were spoken here by some of these people. It's the people that you have to thank, that we have to thank, because without you and your support, we wouldn't be able to do it. It's wonderful to have firemen, policemen, medical help, all kinds of help and support, because those are some of the people you really have to thank, and I thank them. But just to get